welcome to Wrestling Royalty. We are here, of course, on a Friday evening, here a bit later than usual, but if you're watching this in the future, it doesn't even matter anyway. So we are here on a Friday as we normally would be, but what is not normal is I am not just joined by Sam Smith from Give Me a Hole Yeah. I'm also joined by the lovely, the amazing, the knowledgeable, I'm going to say that now, Anthony Nayland. I've set you up. How are you doing, man? How are you both doing?
Good, you set me up with knowledgeable. Don't do that because we're going to talk NXT.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's watched NXT for 3 years, but
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We're not setting them up to fail. There is a very specific reason why I'm very happy to have Anthony on the call with me today, or the video with me today, is because, as you can see from the title, we are going to be talking about WWE's newest signing, Jade Cargill, who has moved across from AEW to WWE. We're going to be talking about who is Jade Cargill, because I know there'll be a lot of WWE fans who are kind of scratching their heads as to why this might be a big deal, who she is, where she's come from, and why they should be potentially excited about it. So we're going to talk all things Jade Cargill. We are going to cover NXT No Mercy after that as well, but it'll be very, very quick. We're going to keep things bright and breezy straight after this. So, as I said, we are joined by both Sam and Anthony tonight. And the reason why Anthony, I bigged him up as being knowledgeable, is because if you aren't au fait with Give Me a Hole Yeah, you have Sam on a Friday night. You know that because he's joined Wrestling Royalty a few times before. He covers all things SmackDown on a Friday night for the channel. And then you have Dan on a Monday night, but he covers Monday Night Raw. But as you can see on the bottom of your screen, Anthony, on a Wednesday, you cover AEW live every week. So you can see all three of those watch-alongs on Give Me a Hole Yeah on their channel. So if you haven't already subscribed to them, go and subscribe to Give Me a Hole Yeah, and also subscribe to Wrestling Royalty. Always a pleasure to have you on board. Let us know your comments throughout the video. We want to hear what you think of Jade Cargill signing for WWE. Let us know your NXT predictions as well, as we cover that towards the end. But let's start at the top of it. Let's just kick straight off, Anthony. I'm going to call on you first. Jade Cargill signing for WWE. Is it a big deal? That's the big question.
Yeah, it's a big deal. She's a talent. She's a superstar. She's branched out in multiple different ways into different media. She carries herself across super well. Look at her. She looks like Charlotte Flair. And you want another Charlotte Flair in that company. She's got that strength. She's got that power. The biggest problem is she doesn't necessarily have the ability to carry herself in the ring yet. And her work in AEW didn't necessarily lend itself to working in the ring. She was facing, as she was TBS champion for over a year. And she sort of came in, won the belt, kept the belt, and lost the belt at the end. And that was it. However, during that time, she was in the ring with very few of the top stars of AEW. She didn't fight against Britt Baker. She didn't fight against Jamie Hayter. She was kept away from Toni Storm. The idea being, I'd assume, that they'd go to that in the future. But obviously, with her signing off from AEW, doesn't look like that's happening. So the real question for me is how Jade Cargill will slot in, because I don't know that she can carry herself in a match just yet. Obviously, when she was brought into AEW, she was brought in through Cody Rhodes. She had a tag team match with Cody Rhodes, and I think it was Shaquille O'Neal or something like that, because she's friends with him, against Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes.
It was Red Velvet, I think, wasn't it? Because Brandy was injured, I believe.
That's right. It ended up being Red Velvet. So I have no idea how this is going to work. She's currently in the Performance Center, which I think is the right place for her. But she's the type of star that you actually potentially don't want to be in NXT. However, Becky Lynch also has the NXT belt. So the story of building her up to take that belt could be a big thing. I have no idea, but I'm very interested to see where WWE go with this. Sorry, I've just rested.
So you've mentioned a few points there, and obviously I watch it at AEW when I can, and I try and keep up to date with at least the kind of like the pay-per-views and the weekly results and things like that. Catch your kind of your live streams as well when I can. But one of the things I did notice when kind of going through the comments and things like that when it was announced was very much along the lines of what you've said there, is she's very green in the ring. And people were kind of saying like that can maybe be disguised a little bit more in WWE than it was in AEW. And it's interesting that you say that maybe NXT still isn't the place for her, because from what I understand, the TBS Championship is very much a sort of secondary belt in the women's division there. And as you say, again, another criticism was she never really got to have a feud with anyone of the major women in AEW. So with that being said, who is it that she could go against? Does it have to be someone who's better than her in the ring and will bring her up to a level, or does she kind of have to sink her teeth into some of the people who are maybe the workers like Natalya, who will help her be a bit more experienced?
I think Natalya's a great call, because I think Natalya is great in the ring. I think she, first of all, needs to learn the WWE style, because it's a very different style of wrestling. It's less sort of chaotic. It's more sort of structured. And that absolutely works for their product. And she needs to learn that first of all, I think. And I think she can probably learn that. But I think you're going to see a lot of rehearsed matches out of her, which again is fine if you keep her off TV regular matches and have her as that special event, have her out at the pay-per-views and have her doing the matches. When I talk about AEW, the top star she really fought was either Serena Deeb, who again is a talent, a trainer, someone that can really work with Jade Cargill, or Hikaru Shida, who again is that same level. However, WWE, when you look at people like Nikki Cross, who's an absolute veteran in the ring, who could absolutely teach someone like Jade Cargill a hell of a lot. I think they're the type of people you want to be looking at. The sort of people who have been wrestling a long time that can really imprint on Jade. And the thing with Jade is she works really hard to get what she's got. So I think she can do it. I just don't know if you want Jade versus Charlotte straight away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, the match that everyone seems to be talking about that is a sort of dream match is Jade versus Bianca Belair. And she even talked about that in the ESPN podcast, where she says that's a WrestleMania main event that would sell out stadiums, which it'd be interesting to get both of your points of view on that. But before I ask you, Sam, I was looking at the kind of accolades. The TBS Championship reign was 508 days. She was the inaugural champion, beating Ruby Soho for it in the first place. And I believe eventually losing to Chris Statlander. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, and I know Andy kind of said there wasn't kind of too many massive stars that she faced in that time, what would you say was the highlight of that reign with the belt, if there was one particular thing?
For me, it was more story than match. She created a stable around herself known as the Baddies. And bit by bit, one by one, she bullied them out of the group. She was very Roman Reigns-esque in how it worked. Like she chased out Kiera Hogan, she chased out Red Velvet, who she was feuding with Red Velvet for a long time, and then they kind of, found some common ground, and Red Velvet turned heel. But then both of those people turned face again, and she got was it not Layla Hirsch? Someone else joined the stable, and who was like a wannabe, who was a tag along at first, and like having these minions and her pitting them against each other like Roman Reigns does with the Bloodline, actually gave her a lot of star power. It really contributed to her aura. See, I'm of the view that the TBS Championship is below the Women's Championship. Like AEW say it isn't, and like they say the TNT isn't below the AEW World Championship, but it is a bit. But for a time, while they weren't booking the women's division particularly well, and I actually think it's got better personally, but Jade Cargill always looked like a star, and it was very, very, very easy to forget about the women's title sometimes. But at least it was consistent with Jade, and there was a good story. That's what kept me invested more than the matches. Now, I'm actually of the view that she got a lot better during that title reign. Like when she started, I remember giggling a little bit, like, oh God, she's not very good in the ring, is she? Like she looks $1 million, but she's not very good in the ring. And I actually, when I watched her match with Statlander, and then I think she had another one just before she left, she had a friendly with somebody. They were really good. And I remember thinking she's actually one of the most improved wrestlers in all of AEW. Like, there are some people in AEW who just work their match every week, and I'm at the point where I'm fast forwarding some of them because I just know what it is. And to be fair, I do the same with WWE with certain acts as well. But Jade is one of the people I went from giggling at and fast forwarding to actually taking seriously. So I have to commend her for that. And I honestly believe NXT is the best place for her because it'll give her a little bit more. I think everybody should kind of go through NXT. I know it's not a complete cure-all for everything, but it's definitely a force for good in wrestling. You know, it has its moments of being a bit lackluster, but I think people who go through it always come out a lot better, usually, wherever they end up. And I think someone like Jade this will be the making of her. This will just complete the paint job, polish off the edges. And there is star power here. She might not ever be the greatest wrestler ever, but neither someone like Cody Rhodes. Like we look at Cody Rhodes, and we think he's really, really good, but he's never going to be a Bryan Danielson, a Kenny Omega, or even, dare I say, a Roman Reigns. But because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors he employs, but he's got the star power, and I think Jade's got that as well. Yeah,
it's interesting because I saw a clip, and I think it was against her versus Sky Blue, and the finish looked incredible. It made Jade look incredible, where she caught her off the top rope, spun her around, dropped her, but caught her like halfway down and went into a finish. And like technically, that's really cool. I don't know how much of that is Sky Blue being a good kind of dance partner in that position, but it's kind of one of those ones where, I can see that. You know, that's something that can be polished, and the WWE certainly have that kind of ability within the performance center to get that out of her. But presentation seems to be pretty spot on. One thing I did notice that this week they had ESPN were the ones who announced it. They had socials posting videos of her arrive at the performance center. They had kind of like clips of her training. She's been made to be quite a big star. Do you think this is solely based on who she is, or is this, as some people, skeptics are saying, is this a shot at AEW because it's one of the others outside of Cody that they've signed? Anthony, I'll ask you that question.
Well, I think it is. I think what it is you have to push Jade to the moon, because what you want to do is the exact same thing they did with Cody and make WWE a place that the wrestlers from AEW want to go. And if you can get Jade over and say that she's come to WWE and she's become this, then she is. It's more stock in someone like Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker or someone like that might want to leave the company, be considering leaving the company, exactly with what they've done with Cody Rhodes, you know? So, yeah.
Would you agree with that, Sam, as well?
Yeah, kind of. I think like I don't know if it's a shot at AEW. I think it's just a competitor being a competitor and playing completely fairly. I don't think WWE are going, AEW. I think it's more of a case of, we've got a vision for this person. We actually think they'll be better off with us, so we're going to offer her a lot more money because, we've seen what you've done with her, but we actually think our vision of her is going to be a bit better. And I kind of agree. I think she might be somebody more suited to WWE at the end of the day. And I've always been of the view that every big star in wrestling owes it to themselves to see what it's like on both sides of the fence. Because some people are much more suited to AEW, some people are just objectively much more suited to WWE. Like there are exceptions to that rule. Like I don't imagine we'll ever see someone like Roman Reigns in AEW, and would he even work? But then again, then there's the Young Bucks. Would they work in WWE? Would they? I'm not so sure they would personally. So I'd be keen to see it, but some people are best suited where they are. But I do think all the big stars owe it to themselves to have a go in each place, and then maybe see where they fit the most and maybe stay there. And I think Jade, it's time for her to check out the other side now and see which one works for her more. But my money's on WWE being the place for her.
Fair enough. I mean, at the beginning of this, you kind of both said two different things. Sam, you said NXT would be the place for her. Anthony, you said that it's one of those ones that maybe doesn't have to go to NXT. So I'd ask you both in separate ways. what do you see the next year kind of panning out to be for Jade Cargill in WWE? What do you think she needs to kind of achieve within that first year period?
If I was WWE and I was booking Jade Cargill, I wouldn't put her in NXT. I think she's above NXT, and I think it'll be diminished returns by the time she gets to main roster if you put her in NXT, because people won't be as excited for it. If I was WWE, she'd be in a tag team right now with Bianca Belair, and they'd win the tag belts, and you'd take a year to tell the story. They'd win the tag belts at this Mania, and then at 41, they'd be going up against each other. And you've instantly got somebody who is, Bianca Belair, sort of another great example of an athlete who became a wrestler, you know. And with Jade Cargill's character work with her ego, and let's not forget the Baddies was created by Jade Cargill. It was a social media following that she created. So she'd had this Baddie section, which eventually ended up being a load of ladies who felt empowered by the presence of Jade Cargill and called themselves the Baddies. And I think, so she created that. So there's no reason why she couldn't do something similar in WWE. And I think putting her with Bianca Belair, you get her working with someone in the ring that can carry her when she needs to, teach her the ropes, cover her weaknesses in the ring if need be, but also give us an engaging story. It's two top stars that could actually put over the tag belts, which I don't think they have properly yet, even with Baszler and Rousey, you know. So that's how I'd be booking Jade Cargill in the next year.
Sam, I'm interested to hear your NXT route for Jade now.
Yeah, I'd do it a little bit differently. I'd bring her into... Look, here's the thing. People like AJ Styles skip NXT. And for some reason, Dominic Mysterio. But forgetting Dominic Mysterio for a moment, Jade Cargill ain't no AJ Styles. Certainly not yet. So I would give her a run in NXT, but I would make it a short one. I would book her to appear in the Royal Rumble and assess how people respond to her and what happens there. See if you can start the germ of a storyline there. Now, keep her going, make her the NXT Women's Champion. Pretty early on in NXT, from either from Becky or whoever else. Keep that on her until Stand and Deliver. Have her lose it at Stand and Deliver. Whether she's a face or a heel, have her lose it at Stand and Deliver. Have her come out at WrestleMania and interrupt Bianca Belair or somebody like that. And that's your new thing heading into the new era, or the new year, as you might say. After WrestleMania. But I would give her a run in NXT, one to please the smarks like me who believe she needs it, because I think she does. From a star power point of view, no, she doesn't need it, not really. But from a wrestling point of view and learning the system point of view, defo she needs it, absolutely. Like Dominic Mysterio is great now, but he was crap in the ring for a long time. He would have really benefited from that. It's the fact that he got over, like his star power as a heel got him over. But if that hadn't worked, when Ray retires, he would have been out the door. So, it's only now Dom is actually hilariously having his NXT run when he actually doesn't need it anymore. But I think Jade should have it just to smooth out those rough edges, to get people used to her. And then when she does go to the main roster, it'll feel like a bigger deal. If she goes walking in there right now, you got to remember there's a lot of WWE people who incorrectly look at AEW as a glorified indie when it isn't. It's owned by a bloody billionaire. You know, they've got some of the top stars in the world there, partnership with New Japan. AEW is here to stay, and it's a big deal and should be taken seriously. But if she comes walking into the main roster, there's going to be some backlash, and it's going to sniff a bit like Drew McIntyre's first run, and it's going to smell a little bit like when they were trying to force Roman Reigns down our necks. So they've got to do it the right way. You know, again, this isn't AJ Styles.
Fair enough. Well, let us know in the comments if you whose kind of vision for Jade that you would like to see come to fruition. If you've got any other plans, let us know in there as well. That was almost a Dom versus Ant little kind of like snippet there. That series playing out over on Give Me a Hug, yeah.
There wasn't as much fighting. I've got a question for you because I like turning these on the head. You know, let's go, Andy. Who's the bigger deal in terms of signings? Is Jade Cargill going to WWE a bigger deal, or is Edge going to AEW a bigger deal?
Well, when it's confirmed, which it does feel like it is going to be, that Edge is going to go to AEW. Short term, I would say probably Edge. but in the long run, I would think it's probably Jade because there's a lot more kind of build around her, and I don't think this is in it for like the short run. As Sam kind of said, she's not someone who's coming in that would be like a massive deal that, you know, everyone's kind of going to know. From what I understand, part of her goals in life as well is to use WWE as a platform to kind of push her on to things outside of wrestling as well in the long run. So her success in WWE will help her in success outside of WWE as well. Whereas Edge coming in to AEW as one of the biggest names in the last kind of like 20 years or so in wrestling, and especially in WWE, that is a bit of a thumb in the nose for WWE. He's been a lifer in the company. So for him to go across with his star power, add into, you know, Christian Cage being one of the hottest properties they've got at the moment, one of the kind of more entertaining, I would say, on the roster. Adding him into that is fantastic. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things he could do there. I'm interested to see if it happens. I'm not 100% sure it's definitely on yet, but there seems to be clues that it's going to happen. So I like that. I like that they're making people work for it a little bit, because I think I prefer it to be a bit of a shock. That's what AEW does very well, is just, there you go. There's someone that's going to turn up on a big pay-per-view and pop the ratings or pop the social media channels anyway. So yeah, what do you?
That's a really important point, because like there's wrestlers who, the thing is, as wrestling fans, sometimes companies like to shock us, right? But actually, there's a real reward in us working out what that is, and sometimes there's just as much enjoyment in the reward of going, oh, I figured out that Christian said this, which implied Edge was coming, which then meant that Edge was coming. I think that's what AEW does really well, actually, a lot of the time. They get a lot of grief for the stories, but actually what they're really good at is telling the story and the right person winning the match. Actually, a lot of AEW pay-per-views are dead easy to predict. That's why I've been prediction champion for the last year. It's because it's the right story to tell. It just makes sense. It feels like a natural progression, as opposed to shock wins. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I saw that they use a promo code, aren't they, at the moment for was it EDGR95, and people were like, well, EDG is Edge, rated R superstar is the R, and 95 is apparently when he had his first match in America or something. So little clues like that, I think, are fun. It gets the rest of the community on social. So and the thing is,
Bray Wyatt campaign.
Yeah, he's good. He's the kind of name that people that watch WWE and have only ever watched WWE would tune in to go, actually, I'd like to see what he's doing across there. Whether he goes by Edge, whether he goes by Adam Copeland, whether he goes back to Sexton Hardcastle, that kind of stuff would be cool to see as well.
He's going to be Adam.
Yeah.
Adam.
I no longer want to be known as Edge. I want to be known as, and then from backstage, Adam.
Oh, I hope they do that. I really do. Now.
I think it was bad injury as well.
That was doing my head in at first, but now every time he does it, I just wet myself. It's just great. See, I actually don't think it is a thumb of the nose of WWE for him to do that. I think WWE know full well he's doing that, if he indeed is, and I think he's probably got their blessing as well. That's why the retirement thing he did was quite understated and respectful. But he's like Bryan Danielson. What he wanted more than anything was to go out on his own esteem, and he's done everything there is to do in WWE. So for his final run in wrestling, it makes sense for him to go over the fence and see what he can do over there. Like, I don't think Edge would be going to AEW for the money. I think he'd just be going there for the creativity of it and the fun, and just to see what it's like. I genuinely believe that, because he's got nothing else to prove to anybody, nothing else to do. I don't even think he needs to win the big one. I think Bryan does. Bryan Danielson does. I'm not so sure Edge does. I just think he needs to just see what it's like over there, and then, you know, go out into the, you know, go off on his own. But but I think that's the difference, and I think that's why Edge is a bigger deal than Jade, because Jade, this is the start of a new journey. For Edge, it's just, he's had the journey, he's at the end of the journey, and we're just seeing the conclusion to it, and that's fascinating. Where, don't get me wrong, like fast forward 5 years' time, it'll all be about Jade Cargill, I believe.
If she's still wrestling.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think she's got a lot to do, But I think for Edge right now, that's one of the things that I'm most excited to see and to see where they go with it. And I think he's coming. I think he is. I think word on the street was they didn't have anything signed for All In, like they didn't have a deal in place, and he didn't really want to go to the UK on short notice.
He's in contract on October 1st, so I don't think.
There you go then. Yeah, there you go. So,
but there's Wrestle Dream this weekend, and you can come and join me and watch Wrestle Dream live with Anthony on Give Me All Yeah.
You'll get your time to plug. Don't you worry. He always gives you.
Plug away. What time? When can we see you talking about Wrestle Dream?
Whenever the buy-in starts, baby, I'll be live streaming. So come and hang out with some wrestling dudes and gals, and we'll watch Wrestle Dream. I think Edge is showing up then. I think that's part of the reason they put the pay-per-view on then as well, because that's when his contract runs out. So, but going back to the original question that I asked, I don't want Edge in AEW personally. I don't think he'll bring out to the product. I didn't particularly enjoy his last WWE run. I thought it was pretty garbage. I think there's some interesting stuff he can do with Christian. But beyond that, I'm really not that interested. If you give me a Randy Orton Edge match in AEW that goes on for 40 minutes backstage, I'm going to be bored to hell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was just the goddamn worst. But I think that's WWE's fault, not their fault. I think both guys did very, very well. I think WWE, like the best wrestling match ever. Oh, go to hell! And then
but it's also like, what did Edge do in WWE in this latest run? Like, not a lot, really.
Set the seeds for the Judgment Day. I think you needed him to do that. I don't think it would have worked without his.
He had a Mania.
Yeah,
but I don't think it was a great Mania. Like, in terms of stuff that you've enjoyed, as opposed to what you've been told is the greatest wrestling match of all time. Do you know what I mean?
His return at the Royal Rumble.
There's nothing memorable for me, really.
I think he's more moments than actual successes in many ways. Like, I think him coming back at the Royal Rumble was still bigger than anything else
biggest
he did.
Moment.
Yeah, after that. Yeah. I think that is very true. And I think it was worth it alone for that.
Steve at Clash will be another moment. As you say, it does seem to be like a run of moments rather than, all-time great matches. But then again, I would say that even in his major run during his first kind of like major stint with WWE, I wouldn't ever put one of his matches in, unless it's a TLC match, as one of my like top 10 all-time favorite matches. It's just not. That's not what he was about. He was more of a moment. Can he create controversy? The stuff with Lita in the ring, again, moments. Very good at that. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on in AEW.
I love the idea. Isn't really about moments. That's the other problem. AEW isn't about moments. AEW is about dream matches and putting people in the ring and seeing them work. So I just don't know how he's going to fit in that system, to be perfectly honest.
I like the idea of him either joining Christian or being the guy to take down Christian, or at least helping someone like Darby or something like that do it. So I think whatever they've got in mind, I'm game. I'm keen to see it. Like, Christian's gimmick at the moment is him pretty much just slagging off dead people, but it's really it's still great. But it's real, like every promo he does, he insults someone dearly departed.
You wait till he goes against Chris Benoit Jr.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I think most people, I used to listen to when they had the Edge and Christian podcast, and they would rave about FDR. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get an Edge and Christian versus FDR match at some point. Possibly against Young Bucks. But I always find it really weird when you go back and you actually look at how long Edge and Christian were together. It wasn't that long at all. Like, people
not really
was one of the best tag teams of all time. I think, if I'm right, they were only together about 2 years or something. It's shockingly like a small amount of time.
But I think that's because they had the best tag division of all time, like at that period, really. You had three teams. You had the Hardys, and the Acolytes potentially. You had the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. And there was also different. And so people were gravitating towards one of them, but it wasn't like any of them were hateable. So you was either a Hardys fan or you was a Dudleys fan because you enjoyed their sort of style, or you enjoyed Edge and Christian because you liked it. It was also very different. It was a very good time for tag team wrestling. That.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, let us know. Are you excited about Edge potentially and almost definitely signing this week, this weekend? And you can find out if it does happen over on Give Me a Hole Yeah. But let us know in the comments. Are you excited by the prospect of Edge or Adam Copeland being in AEW? Let us know. And while you're there, give us a like, give us a subscribe. And that's for both Wrestling Royalty and for Give Me a Hole Yeah. We are
And
going to...
Adam!
Adam!
Sorry, go on.
Why there? Why don't you do WrestleSphere as well? Because I'm sure those guys would love to have a like and subscribe. While we are going, Martin's here. He's just popped up.
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
Dummies. How's it going, Martin? Good to have you.
Gotta get better from COVID, dummies. Yeah. Still need to be seen as tag team partner.
Well, I don't think we see LA Knight over on SmackDown tonight, but you can see John Cena. You can see Mr. Sam Smith covering it over on Give Me a Hole Yeah tonight as well.
Yeah.
We're going to quickly move through, and what we're going to do here for NXT, because I know it's not for everyone, but there are a few decent matches going on, so we're going to nip through the card, and then I'll ask what kind of matches you're looking forward to. Are you going to watch it, etc.? I think I know the answer from one of the people on this call already. But we will quickly go through what we have as a stacked card. So it's already been confirmed. This match is Kalani Jordan versus Blair Davenport. Jordan was put into this match because Gigi Dolan was taken out this week on NXT. This is going to be the pre-show. So we've got that one. Let's go through. We've got a very angry-looking Bron Breakker going against a very bold-looking Baron Corbin there. We've got a fatal four-way tag team match for the NXT Tag Team Championships between...
I hate 4 people tag matches, 14 tag matches. They're the worst.
Tony Dean Stacks versus Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo versus the Creed Brothers versus OTM. And to be honest, I watch NXT and I'm still not sure who OTM, where they come from. They've not really kind of sold the
streets, bro. Do you not watch that skit with Scripps?
So
we saw them in an alley.
Have you heard their names, by the way? Anthony won't have done. Bronco Nima and Lucian Price.
We've discussed this, Andy. Whoever's in charge of names at NXT needs to be taken out and shot. Like, don't get me started on. You've not heard our Wesley debate, have you? That we have every week.
No, I know Wesley.
See, but here's the thing. So I'm of the view that you've got this guy, Desmond Xavier. You know, he's won. You know, he's a big star from Impact and the Indies. He's on all the Indies. You know, the Rascals is over as hell on the Indies and in Impact. Desmond Xavier is a star destined for greatness. So what do? You sign into the biggest wrestling company in the world and you change his name to Wesley, the guy whose lunch money you take. Like,
I would love to see, and I say this every week, I would love to see you try and take Wesley's money.
Well, I won't be able to catch him. He flips all over the place for starters. But my point is, it's like Wesley is the kid who goes and tells the teacher when you're kicking a ball at a wall too hard. And it's not the name of a pro fighter. And I will take that to my grave.
Well, anyway, from the ridiculous names to the sublime, this is a Noam Dar versus Butch. Again, probably a ridiculous name anyway. NXT Heritage Cup. We're going to have Meta 4, which again is a genius name. Actually, I will give him credit for that. Noam Dar is going to be backed up by the Meta 4, and Tyler Bate is going to be Butch's second, which is kind of cool. They had a great match on NXT. So if you haven't seen a Heritage Cup match, worth a watch on that one because it's slightly different rules.
Is it the British rules?
Yeah, so they have rounds.
First
to two, isn't it? So there is it 6 minute rounds? 6 rounds.
Six rounds of 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
It's very great when you don't know what match. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just watched it. Great. I don't need to
British Strong Style reunion though. British Strong Style reunion. That's pretty cool.
We've got Dominic Mysterio or Dirty Dom. Our Dirty Dom is not on this call. He's probably fast asleep at the moment. But this Dominic is going to be going up against Trick Williams for the NXT North American Championship and Dragon Lee, special guest referee. We've got Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton, where Lynch is going to be defending her NXT Women's Championship match in an Extreme Rules match as well. So maybe paint the picture for someone to get involved there. And, you know, we've just been talking about someone who's just signed up. So we'll see. I'm sure, I would imagine we might see her sat ringside, by the way. That was what I was going to say about Jade Cargill. She might do that thing where she's just randomly sat.
Yeah, do you remember? Yeah, they used to do that all the time, didn't they? Yeah.
The fact that they've announced her and there's no surprise now, I wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the main event, which I'm very excited about, NXT Championship match, is Carmelo Hayes as the champion versus Ilya Dragunov. This is a rematch from the Great American Bash that they had as the last premium live event. I think this will be another banger, and I think they could take it up another level from what they did as well. Very much one of those ones, if you don't watch NXT like Anthony and you're not kind of like au fait with it, one that you could definitely try and catch on what I'm assuming they'll put the whole match on YouTube at some point, because the last one was great. Really good clash of styles, aggression from Dragunov versus the kind of like slick coolness of the champion in Hayes. So there, anything there tickling your fancy, anything there floating your boat? What would you look forward to the most if you just had the chance to watch one or two of those matches?
Main event all day, every day.
I think, yeah, I mean, God, not Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton in an Extreme Rules match in WWE. Are you kidding me? Did you see their tribute to Terry Funk? The Terry Funk hardcore death match. It was, I had to cover that SmackDown because Sam wasn't doing it. And it was that, they got a table involved. Ooh, a Terry Funk death match. Are you freaking kidding me? So absolutely no interest in that. The Ilya Dragunov's like a star, man. He's an absolute star. He's wasted, I think, in WWE, to be perfectly honest. I don't think he's ever going to make it to the heights that he needs to be pushed. So I'd be interested in seeing how he's getting on. Also, Blair Davenport. I really like Blair Davenport in general. I thought she was a massive loss from AEW. So I'd love to see Blair Davenport and see where she's going.
That's another name that blows my mind. But anyway.
No, I don't mind Blair Davenport. There's been so many worse. I don't know if it's like the best of a bad bunch, but I actually don't mind that one. And I think she's probably next in line for some sort of shot at the championship, which would be great because I think she's probably the strongest wrestler that NXT has on their draw. But yeah, check this out. It's on I believe it's on Saturday night. So there's no clash at all with Wrestle Dream. So don't worry, Anthony. You can have plenty of viewers tuning in on Give Me a Hug. Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you're interested in NXT. What matches are you looking forward to? I think there's a good card. And also, if anyone hasn't seen it, go check out the promo video that WWE just put out, which is going to air to start things. It's an homage to No Mercy, the video game. And they've actually created like the characters of that are having the matches. They've created them in the kind of like avatars. And it's very, very well done. They have the whole like startup menu to start things off.
Nice.
Definitely check that out on social media because they've done a great job. As to be honest, it's probably one of the best things WWE has is their production value is always crazy. But in this is probably the best I've seen in a long time. Go check that out. So, whistle stop tour, as I said, of NXT. We've been talking all things Jade Cargill, and we are going to wrap things up now. I just want to say thank you very much, though, to both of the lads from Give Me a Hug. Yeah, you've heard me plugging it. I'll give you one last chance, though. Anthony, what should they be doing this weekend?
Dreaming about wrestling on Sunday with me, and dreaming about me on Sunday with me at Wrestle Dream. There we go. Sold.
I was going to do some sort of joke about you being a Velveteen Dream, but I thought that might be a bit.
Oh no, I'm not a paedophile. You had to bring up a name that I hate. Yeah. Do you know when we was covering NXT on the channel, when all that shit come out, I was like, I will not watch a Velveteen Dream match. So me and Dom would be doing a live stream of NXT pay-per-views, and I was like, I will not watch it. I was completely against it. Hate it.
I can see by the passion that you answered there with Sam. What should they be doing this?
I was going to say, did you ever watch his match he had with Orange Cassidy on Evolve? That was such a bizarre worlds colliding. But anyway, yeah. What they should be doing is in about an hour and 15 minutes, they should join me for the SmackDown stream on Give Me a Hug. Yeah, that's exactly what they should be doing. And while you're there, while you're waiting, you've got some free time, you should go and have a look at WrestleSphere and read some of the articles or watch our interview with some of the stars. And we've actually got more interviews with AEW guys coming up as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, I won't say anything yet on stream. Just know that there's been some dialogue between us and AEW, and we're very excited about what's going to happen next. So yeah.
Lovely. And you've also got some very good Impact interviews on there. One of them being, I believe, in Joe Henry, who has been everywhere, I believe, this week, because Impact coming to the UK very soon. And that's cool because they're doing a sort of pay-per-view up in Newcastle while I'm not here, which is fantastic for everyone involved.
Yeah. It's that'll be at the Coventry shows. That'll be good. I'm very much looking forward to that. Although he lost his tag team partner if he's still fired. He got fired. He got the fired briefcase. They usually do that to a heel, like who's being gobby, but they did it to a baby face this time.
I think he's going back to Japan, isn't he?
I know, but it tugged at my heartstrings. Poor Joya is over before it even began.
Well, if you enjoy Impact, if you enjoy AEW or WWE, if any of those are your kind of thing, you can find them all over at WrestleSphere and give me a whole yeah. So go check out those guys. We've got some great streams coming up this weekend. I will be doing some sort of feature on NXT that you can read on rushonrock.com. As always, please follow, subscribe, like, all that good stuff to Wrestling Royalty. You can find me on Twitter as well. Thanks very much to those guys. I'm just going to try and kill some time while I get the outro going. I've been Andy, he's been Sam, he's been Anthony. This has been Wrestling Royalty.